I bought that review 3 times, and it's so hard to sit down and watch those classes. The exercise does some of them doesn't even relate it with the test. They're completely like off the topic.
Bonjour guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm joined by Harry. So Harry graduated in 2013. He got his bachelor's degree in civil engineering, and he actually took the FE exam twice. So the first time he took the FE was in 2020, and the second time he took it was in June 2021. And so today he's going to share with us his experience and what he did to pass his FE exam. Harry, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me here.
Awesome. Great. It is my pleasure. I'm really excited. So what do you think you struggled the most with to pass your FE exam?
So definitely was the timing to sit down and study, because I got out from college in 2013. When you're in college, it's easy to sit down and study because you've been doing it for years. But once you get out from that habit, it's really hard. Like come from work, and instead to be watching TV with my wife and playing with my baby, now I gotta go sit down and study. And just sit down, it was like really hard. Once I start, I can keep going for 2-3 hours easy. But just getting to the desk, that was the hard part.
I can totally see like that could be tricky and challenging. Yeah.
I compare with like whenever you're gonna start a diet or start going to the gym. It's like a lot of days you don't want to go. You just gotta just show up, and like I got that from your videos. You always say you don't have to study a lot or something like that. Just show up. And I was like doing that. I sit down or like watching TV and I say, let me show up to my desk. and when I start, that sometimes that was most of the productive days.
Right. You know, it's interesting you brought that up, and I like how you compared it to the gym. And sometimes I don't feel like going to the gym and I still show up. And like you said, those usually are like the best workouts.
The best workout, yeah. And definitely when you start like, remember all that stuff from college. And sometimes I was just starting to say, I don't even know how. I remember I took all this. I don't know how I was doing that and how was so easy back then. And now it's like kind of like get back into it is kind of hard.
Interesting. Did you feel like that was frustrating a little bit? Hey guys, just like Harry here, I know many people who have tried and failed the FE exam a couple times, and they feel lost, overwhelmed, a failure, and no idea what to do next. And if this sounds like you, I invite you to join me this Friday for a webinar where I'll show you the tools and the resources to help you get back on track and actually pass your FE exam. It is completely free and you can sign up in the link in the description below. Now, remember, no matter where you're coming from, you can pass your FE exam and I'll be here to help you achieve that.
Especially when I start with the PPI review, to be honest, I bought that review 3 times, PPI.
Wow.
3 times.
Okay.
And first time I bought it because I was in Hawaii, stationed there, and I say, okay, let me start taking the FE. That was 2015, I believe it was. And it's so hard to sit down and watch those classes. So I sit down and the classes that were so long. It was like 3 hours or something like that. And I started, and then I put excuse. I say, okay, they told me I had to go to Korea. I cannot study. That was excuse because I really had the time to do it. So I postponed it. Then I moved up to Texas. In Texas, I told my wife, like, this is it. Here, I'm gonna do it. And I bought the review again. And it was hard to watch those classes too long and too complicated. And then you have a lot of people in those classes that they are in the last semester or they are like recently graduate and they had everything fresh. And when the teacher asked for something, they reply really quick, so the teacher speed up the class. And then for the people that been out, that's not good for us because you need to go more slow and detail. I'm a slow learner too, so I need to actually think in my mind that I understand this before I move on. And then the third time was here during the pandemic in 2020 in California. So I bought it because we were in the pandemic. And that one actually I went through the whole class and still I went and took it and failed. So I started in like April and took the FB in October the first time. I felt all the parts.
Wow. Sounds like you had quite a journey with this whole FE.
Yeah,
like I'm so surprised that you paid PPI 3 times for the whole course, because I know that's expensive. That's like
Yeah,
financially, that's a lot.
yeah,
Um,
it's a lot. When I took the decision, it was like I was like, it doesn't matter how much it costs, I'm gonna do it because I want this. Um,
right.
and yeah, it didn't work out. It's very complex. The book, I couldn't go through the whole book. The exercise. Then when I took the test, the exercise does some of them doesn't even relate it with the test. They're completely like off the topic.
Right. Yes. It's different. Those courses, they expect you and they assume that you know a lot of the stuff. Like you said, there were a lot of recent graduate
Exactly.
students, and the professors, they go really fast, or the lectures are boring. And I think with the FE exam, sure, you do need a little bit of lecture in terms of understanding concepts, but I think practice, doing a lot of problems is important. And
Yep.
to those problems, when you're doing them, it's important that you have somebody to walk you through those problems and make sure that you're not missing any step. So you just took this class 3 times, you took the FE exam, and you still failed. And at that moment, I can't even imagine what you went through. So first, you're looking back, okay, I paid 3 times this course. So that's like
Yeah.
what, like 1,700 or 1,500 each time times three, plus the NCS fee. And then you're like, okay, and then I failed. I just failed. With all of
Yeah.
this, I still failed. I like, how did you go from that to I'm gonna keep going? And what really made you like invest again in buying the morning and the afternoon course after everything that you went through?
When I went actually finally took the test and I failed, but when I saw the test, I say it's not that hard. That wasn't my first time taking the test, and I was like, it's not that hard. It's just I didn't study in the proper way. I was like, I need something more specific, something like go more in detail on the exercise. I told my wife, I was talking to my wife and say, I cannot give up now because I put a lot of time. So I started studying April 2020. I was like basically from scratch. And I was like, if I pause right now, then later on in life, I want to do it again and have to put all that time again. And I was like, I cannot give up. So I designed a schedule with the same PPE. I was like, okay, I'm going to keep going. And then looking on internet, I was like, I need something more specific. And I started like doing research, and I started seeing your videos. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. It's another like, it's like investment again. I was like, I don't know. So I started watching the interviews. And I see a couple of interviews, like you say, people like me that English is their second language, people that have education from other countries, where the even though I see one on the interview, one of the guys, I think he was from Venezuela, I
Mm-hmm.
believe he was, uh, and he was graduated like years ago, and he still passed, even though like English is second language. Venezuela, they use another units because they use like kilometers and kilograms and stuff like that. And I was like, well, yeah, English is my second language, but I grew up in Puerto Rico where my whole classes were in English. The only English that I knew before I joined the army, it was like civil engineering English. I can read and understand the books, but that's it.
Wow.
And I was like, if he was able to do it, I think I can do it. And I was like, okay, let's go again. And then the thing is like, as soon as I started practicing, so I still have my PPE book, because the thing is like PPE is so huge company that you believe like they're right, like because they have name, they've been for years and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, let me compare what she has in the classes, and then once I take classes with her, I'm gonna try to do the problems in the book.
Mm.
So that's how I started my study sections. So I got your math classes, and then I went to the book, and it was so easy. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, how now I'm able to do all the problems in the book like really, really easy. And I was like, oh my God. So, and every time I was studying, I go out the room and talk to my wife, and I say, if I don't pass now with this review, I don't think I will be able ever to pass. And as soon as I was getting into it and into it, I was telling my wife, I feel good. I think I'm gonna do better this time. But yeah, that's how I start. I was not trusting you 100%, and I was comparing like what you have in your classes with the PPE and everything. And then I would say by the third subject or something like that, I just threw the book away. Like, I don't need nothing else. I just need get focused on this.
I do want to ask, when you took the FE exam second time, you did go through the whole afternoon course, right? Because we did have it done by
Yes,
that. Right.
yes.
Okay. Okay.
So I was planning to. So my schedule was, because I fell in October. I took like a couple weeks off, and I started studying in November. And in between studying and everything, I was like doing my research. And in December is when I bought the morning course the first time. And I think by January or February, something like that, that's when you launched the afternoon. So I
Right.
think I was one of the first one to buy the afternoon, because once you launch the course, I said I'm on it. Because my plan was start studying in November and take the test like in February or something like that again.
Mm.
And then once you launch the afternoon, I say, okay, wait, let me hit the afternoon part, and then I'm gonna schedule the test. And then when I start the afternoon part, the first subject structures was really tough because you cover a lot on that subject. And I was like, oh my God, this is a lot. I need to push the test a little bit harder to complete the afternoon. I wasn't, the time like dictating like, oh, I'm gonna take it in February. I was flexible to, yeah, I'm gonna push it up and I'm gonna complete the afternoon course.
It's not only about just passing this exam, but also about like you knowing all this stuff now. Like how do you feel now that you were able to learn all about this and, you know, going from like forgetting subjects to like really reinforcing all the concepts that you learned in college and passing your FE? Like how are you feeling right now?
So I feel so good that I just enrolled to start my master in construction management.
Awesome. I do want to go back to time management. I want to know like how much exactly, how many months did you spend studying for the FE exam on your second attempt? So you started December and then till June. Was that it?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh, but the difference is that at this time, I did promise my wife that I would have time for them too, for my wife and the baby. So I was studying hard, but usually weekends, Saturday and Sunday was the day that I studied the most. But what I did this time in my schedule, I also had like not all the Saturdays are gonna be studying. So some of the Saturdays are gonna be for my family, spend time, go out and stuff like that. Because the first time it was like full Saturday and Sunday, I was like just study, 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 not going nowhere, not going out, anything like that. And I told her like, no, it's time not it cannot be like that. I'm gonna balance my schedule. But regarding time, I just get out from work like at 5:30. Then I get into the 4 or 5. So you know how it is that. So I get in my house like around 6, 6:30, and eat, play with the baby a little bit. And around 7:30, I was like sitting down for study. And then I go to, let's say, 10:30, no more than that, because I had to wake up every morning to run or do exercise and stuff like that. And if I pass 10:30, it would be so hard. Some days I got caught up with some exercise that they were hard, and I'll go all the way to 12, 12:30. But that was basically my schedule. And then always during the week, I have one day off, because you start the week with a lot of energy. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. By Thursday, I was like tired, like waking up early, doing exercise, studying all night. So usually Thursday, I was taking the day off, and then Friday, and then the Saturdays that I don't go out, I start studying like at 9, and by 3 p.m. or something like that, I was complete for the day. And Sundays, the same thing.
What I like about your schedule is that you were like, okay, it's important for me to spend time studying, but it's also important that I don't neglect my family. And you made sure
Yes.
that you found time for them. And then also I think that kind of helped you not burn out as well. Because if you study every
Yeah.
day and you don't do anything else but just studying, working out, going to work, that could easily lead to burnout.
And still at some point, I went for a whole week without study.
Ooh.
I told my wife like, I don't know, I feel like I need a break. But what I didn't help me a lot is like once I finished the afternoon course, so I took 2 weeks off in my work.
Hmm.
And instead to schedule my test, what I did is I repeat the whole course again. I have like these of papers, like of
Yeah.
exercise that I had and everything.
That's great. Did you feel like that helped you, like reinforce? the concepts and just feel more confident just
Yes,
reviewing the
it's
course?
I think it's more mentally help you to feel like, oh, I still got it. Oh, I still got it, because it's right there. But you don't trust sometimes your mind. Is you got it. It's right there. It's just you have to do it to prove yourself. Like, yeah, I still have it. I still got it.
Right. When you repeated the course the second time, did you try to make sure that you were doing the problems on time? Like, like you're not spending
No,
like, no, you were
no.
just taking your
The
time.
whole time, I never practiced time until like at the end for the practice test.
Did you find anything that didn't work for you during this whole process?
Not really. Every advice that you, Pranita, has, and you guys were saying, I'll try. I can tell you, I probably tried all of them. Like, try. I was like trying, like, especially the schedule. Like, you going hard on how to manage your time, schedule, stuff like that. I have a whole in my wall here. I had like a whole schedule, and I was like marking days and stuff like that. That was very, very helpful. But yeah, like everything that you guys mentioned, like all the exercise that you have in your course, they are all of them are really, really related. When you take the test, feel like you've been there before. it's, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I know what I'm doing. I exactly know what I'm doing.
Right.
Yeah. So, but
Yes.
everything was very, very helpful. I never seen something like the only thing that I didn't do that you guys mentioned a lot. It was the for the conceptual questions that Pranita always mentioned that she went and Google like definitions and stuff like that. I started doing it and I was like, I, I'm not doing this. That was the only thing that I didn't do it. I start and then I stop. What I get is one of the advice that you gave us is like when you have a conceptual question, try to put it in numbers.
Mm,
And every conceptual question that I had, I was trying to put it in numbers and try to look at it in the reference book. Or I look for a keyword on the reference book and you found it. Like when you put numbers on it or you find the keyword, you're able to find those consecutive questions.
yeah. I agree. I actually really like that. Yeah. Here's a question. Now, this is a question is about like, a couple weeks before the FE. It's a question that we get a lot from students. It's like, how do I spend my last 2 weeks? Because now you're at that end, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people might stress, they might start like doubting themselves, they might start doing a lot of problems or new problems. Like, would you recommend students like how to spend their last weeks, 2 weeks before the exam, or what did you do specifically 2 weeks before the test?
Okay. That was a plan that I had like really, really clear on what I'm gonna do. That
Mhm.
whenever I set up my test, what I'm gonna do the last test. So I had the Jerome book and Islam. That's the one that you recommend in the classes. So I bought
Right.
those two books and I had the NCES practice test. So I closed everything and I started doing practice tests by time and see how I was doing. And I was like really, really behind on the time. I was like bad. Like I was like, oh, if I keep doing this way, I won't be able to complete the
Wow.
test. And I knew I had to work on that, but I had 2 weeks, so I didn't stress out or something like that. I was like, okay, I had 2 weeks. I just had to learn. Another thing is like that is very very good in your classes is like you reference everything from the handbook. So
Yeah.
by the point that you finish the whole course, you know where to go. You know like which section you are just by looking the book. And I get to that point that I was like, oh, I know I'm in this section. I gotta go back if I want to go in math. Oh, I gotta go forwards. I want to go in this section. I knew where specific to look and book for the exercise. That was like really really helpful right there. But that 2 weeks I was just doing practice tests, and then I think like 3 days before, that's when I stopped and I was reading just my notes. And the day before I didn't do nothing, like just relax, watch TV and stuff like that. I didn't do anything else.
Now, you mentioned that you, at first, when you started taking practice exams, that your time management wasn't right. Like,
Oh
so
yeah.
how did it improve? Was it just by doing a lot of them? Is that how, or
Doing.
did you come up with like like a strategy on how to tackle the exam?
I was like, because it's something mentally sometimes that I have something, this is personal myself, that when I start doing an exercise, it doesn't matter how hard I have to do it. Like, It doesn't matter how long it's gonna take me. I need to complete that exercise before move on. So I had to take that out of my mind. It was hard for me. It was like, why am I gonna move on if I know I can do it? It just take time. But I had to take it out of my mind, and that's when I started like, okay, I cannot do this one right now. I'm gonna move forward, and that's when the time started improving. Just moving forward and flagging problems. That's when I started improving. Because sometimes doing another exercise, later on, you're gonna click something, and then you go, oh, let me go back, and then you can answer the other one. But that was basically what it helped me was the flagging questions and learn how to move forward.
Awesome. Okay, so as you headed into the exam, were you feeling stressed or nervous?
I was more like anxious, like see what the result gonna be like, how the test is gonna be, and stuff like that. I wasn't like nervous or anything like that. I was like really, really calm. Once I get in the seat, I can feel my heartbeat like, oh my god, here we go. But once you start, like everything goes back to normal. Yeah. And that was my mentality. It was like I'm gonna go to see like if I improve a lot. At the end, when I passed, I was surprised because I was like, how come I went from like fail in everything suddenly get the result? Oh, you passed, and oh my god, I was expecting like see better results. That was my goal, like see better results, improvement. That's the only thing that I was looking for.
I love that. Now, do you have any like words of wisdom that you would like to share with students who are trying to pass the FE exam right now?
Just don't give up. We all can do it. If I can do it, I was like a regular student. You have to put the effort and the work. Once you have that discipline to sit down and study and stuff like that, you'll be good. Like anybody can do it. Just keep studying. It just takes time. But in my case, probably this happened to a lot of people. I seen when I was going to the classes on the Fridays and Saturdays, I see a lot of people that worry about like, no, I have to only study 3 months. I had to study only 2 months and pass it. And it's like, and that really doesn't matter because probably you've been out of the school for 3, 4 years. You never thought about taking the license. Now suddenly you need to you pass it in 2 months. For what reason? If you've been like 3 years without it, unless you need a promotion or something like that, right? That put you a little bit of pressure. But if not, just relax and study, learn, and go for it.
I love that. Great, awesome. Well, Harry, congratulations again. And thank you so much for taking the time and for sharing your story with us today.
No, thank you. I was hoping to be in the channel too because I see all those interviews. I want to be one of those.
Amazing. And you did. So Harry left us with some great advice right there at the end. Don't give up. If you're on your FE journey, make sure that you guys stay consistent with your studying, don't rush it, and show up even the day when you don't feel like studying. And it will pay off. You can do this as well. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to get more videos like this. And make sure that you guys check out these 2 videos that I have right here, which will help you with your FE preparation. Now, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you on the next video. À la prochaine. Oh yeah, everybody now.